Hi everyone, and welcome to the first playthrough sort of troubleshooting process of Global Ultimatum, our school project which we aim to make a reality. Global Ultimatum is a role-playing game based on the real world, where the goal is to solve the real issues like poverty, starvation, clean water, pollution, the real issues of the real world. But we don't want to make it too heavy, since it's still a game. It's still supposed to be fun. It's supposed to bring people together, troubleshoot with each other, come up with ideas of how to make the world a better place in the small ways that we can. So right now I'm not joined by anyone. I will be later on. I am going to create my character, and first of all, see, this is the first time, so I'm gonna see if everything works as it should, as well as show you guys how it's supposed to be done. I hope that the instructions in the book, when it's ready to publish, will be clear enough. But if not, if someone needs extra clarification, or if video is just easier to follow, I hope this will be a clear guide. So let's get started. This is the setup. It's not great, but I hope that it will work at least a little bit. So I'll bring these closer. These are the papers. These are very like flimsy and low quality because I just printed them at work just for this demonstration. But anyway, these are the papers that you need for character creation. So the first page is the birth certificate of, so that's your name, born in, where you're from, then your class, a drawing of yourself and maybe other important stuff that you want to draw, and your inventory that will be filled throughout the game. Then we have this one. This is where all your stats go. I will go into that about what all of these means and stuff like that, so don't worry about that quite yet. And this is your health points that will be lost and gained throughout the game, but you start with 20. Everyone starts with 20, so they're just going to be empty at the start. Relationships you also fill out throughout the game, and then so you have an inventory and then your objects, and these objects are mostly like objects with uses, so like a weapon or the medicine, or which would be different than what you put in your inventory. That could be like a rock or a pretty flower. So that's the basics. So let's get started. I'm joined here today by my wonderful helper. Anyway, I'm gonna get started with which country I am going to be from, or which country my character is going to be from. And following the instructions, it says roll a d20. There is a guide at the very bottom of the book, or the end of the book, which dice are which. So this is a d20 because it said the D stands for dice or die, and it has a 20 on it. So yes, we roll this, see what we get. 11. So I jump down here. I have the book isn't published yet. We're still very much troubleshooting. So I just have it on my computer right here, and I'm gonna jump down to country number 11. Also, if the angle changes to here, it's because like I have a backup camera in case this one dies or anything goes wrong. Yes, I got the country of za. Right here. Excuse my terrible handwriting. I won't tear anything up if it's too hard to see. So I can also put in a picture in editing of the flag, which is quite cool looking to myself. So I'm going to summarize za real quick, just so you get an idea of how much information you get from each country. Za is one of the least developed countries. It's a former Bohemian colony. It's struggling with political turmoil. The government lacks control over large parts of the country. A picture of the map in general, what I'm talking about, when you can see what I'm seeing. So yeah, very chaotic in general. They struggle with contaminated drinking water. It causes more than 80% of all diseases in the country, so water is a big issue. Thus, by the country's chaotic past, they have a historical tendency to start wars, which is not great. They have a lot of different countries, different cultures all joined together. It's hard to agree between each other. So part number 2, or the next step, is cultures beyond borders, and this part is optional. I'm going to choose to do it because it gives the character more depth if they have something more, than just where they're from, if they have some sort of important background too. So I'm going to roll another d20. So that would be the Undine. I'm going to read what that is too. The Undine are commonly referred to as pirates. They live across a small archipelago close to Costa Simolo and Za, so that works perfectly with what I rolled earlier. So Undine. Then I have somewhere. No. Yes? No. It's very good to have a separate paper where you take notes of everything. So I did not prepare that because I'm so great at planning. But if I had notes right now, I can just use the back of the paper. So za is water, problems, politically unstable, and Undine pirate people. And of course, there is more written. So I'm gonna keep reading about the Undine. The Undine are often stereotyped as being hyper-masculine as well as queer-coded, since ostracized people often join the Undine, seeking and most often receiving acceptance. The Undine have +1 knowledge in anything marine-related, as well as +1 charisma with ostracized groups. So that is good to explain. Having +1 knowledge means that right here is the knowledge stat, which I'm going to fill out later. If when I want to do something that needs knowledge, like if someone asks me what type of fish live in these types of water, then I want to be correct. So I roll a d20 and see if I'm correct. Explain this later because I think this is I think I'm jumping forward too much. But it's, I'm going to note that to class. And then we jump down. to class. Following the instructions, they say roll a d4, and again there is a guide, but I will show you. This is a d4 if it will focus, but it will not. Anyway, it looks like a pyramid. So I rolled a d4, I got a 1, which says high class. High. I've written it, and sorry. Okay, wait. That's why. Okay, I'm getting way ahead of myself. So we back up a little bit. So we go back to the. And here we have stats. So I'm going to write them here because we're gonna have to do math later. 2, 2. So those are my stats. And then we go back to class, which I accidentally got ahead of myself. But anyway, the class stats give me 2, 1, 1, 2, 5, and 4. So this is don't judge my math skills. For strength, my stats are 6. For agility, my stats are 7. For perseverance, my stats are 6. For attention, my stats are 3. Status is 7. Knowledge is 6. And then that's my general skills. The general skills oh, sorry, the paper is back up a little bit. The general skills are, well, general, they're a base for the actions. Then, like, escaping needs agility, so that's 7. Dexterity also needs agility, so that's also 7. Healing needs knowledge, that's 6. Hurting needs strength, that's also 6. Finding needs attention, that's 3. Sneaking needs agility, which is 7. Speaking needs status, which is 7. Surviving needs perseverance, which is 6. I hope that makes sense. Then, so apologies for everything being confusing because, again, I'm troubleshooting. So, to recap, I rolled a d20 for country, I got za. I rolled another d20 for cultures beyond borders, I got the Undine. I rolled a d4 for which class I'm going to be, and I got a 1, which is the highest class. Those numbers together gave me my stats, and the Undine, like the cultures beyond border 1, gave me +1 knowledge in +1 knowledge in anything marine related, and +1 status in anything to do, like when having a conversation with marginalized people, I will have a higher status or a higher chance of connecting with them because I am of the Undine, and we have mutual respect for each other. So, moving on to abilities. And they are under here. Roll a d20 5 times. So that is what we're going to do. Roll 13. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. She gets me +1 in knowledge. So knowledge gets 7, excuse me. 1, 19, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, generous. Which gives me +1 status. So I have 8. Roll again. 13 again. And if you roll the same number twice, you can choose. So I got 13 the first time, which is cheap. So I can either choose to be really cheap, or so much that the positive becomes a negative, or I can choose to roll again. I'm going to choose to make it extreme, very cheap, and then I'm going to give myself -1 in status, because when you're cheap, yeah, you have a lot of knowledge of how to save money, but you also come off as not very pleasant to most people. Not saying that to offend anyone, I'm just saying, you know, like the TLC documentaries, that's not really a secret that people tend to make fun of cheap people. So 13, 14, 15. Funny! That's something I am not. But let's pretend to be. So that gives me +1 status. My poor little status box is getting bullied. Roll again. 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Limp gives me -2 in agility. So 5. And then we have to fix everything down here because, again, I cannot plan. So my tip for anyone watching this, do as I say, not as I do, and what I say is keep your notes or your stats on your notes until they're done. It's fine, you can erase on the paper, but it's it's just easier and it looks neater. Healing, knowledge, 7, finding, sneaking, speaking, status 8. So now I can explain what the +1 in water knowledge means. So my knowledge is 7. It doesn't really matter, but I am in a situation where I need to prove that I know something. Say, like, what type of rope that you need for a certain type of boat. Then to succeed with that action, I am going to roll for knowledge. So that is what I'm doing now. And I got 17, which is really good. Then I get +7, so 24. And then I get +1 because I have +1 knowledge in marine related things. So 25 is my final score, which means that I succeeded, because anything above 15 is success. So I am 10 above success, which is really, really good, which means that say if I tried to convince someone to let me use the rope I wanted to, if I rolled a 25, they would be like, oh my god, of course, I will even help you and I will let you do this in the future without even questioning it. So that's very good, and it's going to help me in the future. I hope that makes sense. Moving on. So that's the basics done. That's everything you need to do has been done. Name I will come up with as we go along, as long as picture. You will see it. I don't know if I'm gonna do like episode wise or if I'm gonna do one long video. We'll see, probably episode wise. So if there is an episode 2 or a part 2, you will see my character with name and picture and everything, along with the friend who is joining me. But I am also going to write in my objects. These can change and you don't have to prepare this before the game starts. They can like come up as you go along, but I'm going to do it because it's easier to do it when I have explained it. As a citizen of the, I would assume some sort of a weapon, like perhaps a pocket knife. I think a pocket knife makes sense. So all the stats are again in the book under the label objects. What differentiates between, I think I've said this before, but what differentiates between objects and inventory is that the objects have given stats that are going to be used. Your regular inventory is kind of in a void, which isn't very realistic, but it is how to keep the game fun. We're gonna keep a balance of fun and realistic. So anyway, pocket knife, the price is in the stats in the document. You don't have to write it because that's assumed you have already bought it. So that's just mainly for the game master running the game. If you are actively trying to buy something, then the game master knows what to do. So you don't have to worry about that. That's why it doesn't exist on the paper. Weight is 500 grams, just about. Range 30 centimeters, and HP -10. So what that means is when you successfully hit someone that also does not block you, you are dealing 10 damage. So and then you would mark that by going, okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That's a lot of damage. Yeah, that's how that works. The rest of the things, like I said, the relationships are going to be filled out during the game, the inventory as well. It's very highly recommended that you have a name and picture before the game starts, because that gives it helps with the character building and the community part of the game. Just, you know, keep that in mind. And that is all for the character creation, and like I said, I will have a name and picture when in episode 2. And I'll give you a last look of the dice that we needed for this part, if my camera wants to focus this time, which it does not. Hello? No. But you can see it's a pyramid, and it has the numbers 1 through 4, and this is the d20. It has the number 20. Good luck. Bye. Bye.